channel. My name is Stacey Flowers and I am a student of Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University and on a journey to become 100% debt free. I work part-time, earning anywhere from $1,000 to $1,200 a month. I am currently in over $180,000 worth of debt, and in this video I'm going to be going over my budget report card for the month of April. So if you are interested in that, please keep watching. So as you guys can see, the background and things look a little different. Please forgive me for the echoey sound. I am trying to record this video but also respect my space that I'm in right now. But I definitely wanted to, no, I didn't want to do this video actually. I wanted to not come like on camera and just like put up my budget and just like talk over it, but I knew that in the long term that would be something that I would regret, because I would want to be able to look back on all of the emotions, all of the feelings, all of the thoughts, all of the everything that expresses the transition that I'm going through right now. And I know that video is the absolute best way to be able to capture that. So I am no longer in my previous space that I was in anymore. At the recording of this video, I do have my new apartment. I'm not in my new apartment right now where I'm shooting, and I'm very excited about that, but I'm still, you know, transitioning and shifting things, and a lot has happened in the last 30 days, and so I'm recording this video here. And yeah, so I'm rambling because clearly I don't want to do this, but we're going to do it. We're going to do it anyway, because that's what happens when you set an intention. You do it anyway, even when you don't want to. So let's get into it. I like to start my budget report cards with a reflection, because it helps me to be able to really to track my progress. And so the first things are, what am I grateful for? And the number one thing that I am grateful for, especially as experienced in the month of April, is my support system. And I cannot begin to explain or express to you all how stressed out I have been this month. Okay? I have been so overwhelmed, and I didn't want to do this video because I didn't want to wind up crying, but it may or may not happen. We'll see. But this was a very, very hard month, and I can honestly say that had it not been for an incredible support system that I have, you know, I don't know if I would be able to be back on camera this soon after sort of the month happening. And when I say support system, it is beyond and including some really amazing friends. I have like incredible friends. Like, I am a very fortunate person to have amazing people surrounding me majority of the time, and so I have amazing friends. I have a phenomenal therapist. Cannot recommend therapy enough. My family is pretty freaking incredible as well. So you know, I just have some really good people around me, and I think that maybe I've taken that for granted a little bit, and as I'm saying it out loud now, like I just want to not do that, because my support system is incredible, and when things get hard as they did this month, my support system certainly shows up and shows out. So super grateful for that. I'm also really grateful for my body and its ability to communicate with me, and what I mean by that is, in a previous video, I talked about how I had a severe, like, and you guys can kind of see my color and stuff like that is coming back. If you look at some of the old videos, you'll see like a very dark hyperpigmentation on my neck. That was after it like had swelled up and I had hives, and it just went down to the hyperpigmentation, and now it's sort of coming back to its natural color. But my body responds swiftly to stress, discomfort, any sort of negative emotion that I'm experiencing in my body. And what I've learned this month is that my body also responds to those things that are unconscious, or those things that are intuitive. And if you watch my vision board video, I talked a lot about how, you know, my words for 2018 18 are feminine and certain, and a lot of that certainty is is backed by me wanting to be more clear with respect to my intention and what my intentions are, and just, or not intentions, be more clear with listening to my intuition. And what I learned this month is that even when I'm not conscious of how much pain I'm in, or how much hurt I'm going through, or how much stress or how much discomfort, my body will let me know. And one of the many ways that it lets me know that is that I will have some sort of reaction somewhere on my body. And there's this book that I love, and I talked about this on the blog, one of my all-time favorite books, Louise L. Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life. And she's been able to connect the thoughts that we think with the physical elements that we have in our body. And so anytime I experience something in my body, whether it's a rash or like sticking pain, whatever sort of thing that I experienced, I always go to the glossary of her book and I look up like sort of the meaning of that particular area of the body. And what was fascinating is that like the reaction that I had on my neck, it's all about like stubbornness and unwilling to change direction and unwilling to like move, and you know, being a pain in the neck quite literally. And then like hives were a babyish way of getting attention. And so it was very interesting seeing the grouping of all of these symptoms that I was experiencing, and then now being at the end of this month and being able to reflect back on it, now I can see how I was being very stubborn and being very unwilling. Like when I recorded and filmed my blog and posted it, and I talked about how I made the decision to move, I very much made the decision to move, but I hadn't at that point selected a place to live. I hadn't at that point, you know, been approved or anything like that. I hadn't at that point, I didn't know where I was moving to. And so the title of that vlog is The Greatest Act of Faith, which I believe is preparation. And so for me, I'm like, I'm preparing, like I'm moving, I'm going to get dishes, I'm going to keep affirming that I'm moving. Because for me, moving is such a big deal that I was just like, you know, I need these steps, I need, you know, this process to get there. And what I am grateful for with respect to my body is that like my body was trying to communicate with me how difficult this thing is that I have been trying to do. And I'm grateful now that I'm aware of that and that I understand that, so that way I won't be as mad at my body when it shuts down or when it has a reaction, right? Because once my neck had flared up to a degree, there's only so much of me coming on camera where I don't look well that I'm going to do, right? So I automatically had to put the camera away. But it's the same thing with work, like, or, you know, a part-time job. There's only so much when you're like half your face is broken out where people are gonna be like, sure, you can come in. Like, there's only so much you can do. And what I realized is that like, you know, my body having a strong reaction is literally like a defense mechanism, a support, if you will, to say, Stacey, you need to stop. Like, you need to take a minute, you need to pause, you need to figure out, you know, what's going on. And so it was just sort of fascinating to see that my body was communicating to me that I was being very stubborn about, like, you know, my budget and not moving until all of my ducks were in a row. And, you know, even though I knew unconsciously that it was time to go, my stubbornness was showing up in me being unwilling to shift my financial intentions in order to make room for this move. And it literally wasn't until, you know, I made the decision, paid the deposit, got approved, then got unapproved, then got approved again, you know, signed the documents and paid, you know, all of the fees, that all of this started to clear up. But in addition, it wasn't until I was like, you know what, I'm uncomfortable in this space, I need to go somewhere else. Literally the last week of me being in my previous place where I stayed, I wasn't there. Even though I paid rent, I couldn't bear to be in the place because it was so uncomfortable. And it wasn't until I just listened to my body as it was like breaking down and saying, help me please, that I was able to get out of there and get somewhere else where I was able to get some rest and some restoration. So say that to say, I'm incredibly grateful that my body communicates with me both at the conscious and unconscious level. The third thing that I'm grateful for is my new home. Like, I am so in love with it. I am so happy with my decision. I'm still very emotional about it. It's not the new home that I'm emotional about. It's like just the moving and all that stuff. And probably in a vlog, I'll talk a little bit more about what came up and what I've learned. And but I'm so incredibly grateful to have that space. There's so much gorgeous natural light. It's the perfect space for the season that I am moving into, and I'm just incredibly grateful for that. So that's what I'm grateful for this month. What worked this month? The big thing that worked this month was resting and working. And when I say resting, I mean, there was like, I think there was maybe, I want to say there was at least 2 weeks of me not putting out any content. But there was also a little bit of rest that I was doing with a change in my part-time work schedule. And me just letting myself, like when I got off work, being like, all right, you're going to go to sleep. And that just is what it is. Like, you're not going to try to fight the sleep and get any work done. You're just going to go to sleep. So resting really worked because it was very stressful and I needed that additional time to just cozy up and go to sleep. But also working worked. And what I mean by that is that, you know, I did wind up moving, and moving is expensive. And because I was actually still working at my part-time job and picking up odd hours here and there, I'm able to bring in a little bit more money these last couple of weeks, and also the first couple of weeks of the next month coming in, which is really very awesome. So resting and working are really what worked in the month of April. Didn't work. Number one thing that didn't work was not writing my budget on the actual budget forms. That is a no-no. I might as well had written all of those numbers that I wrote down on that single piece of paper on a bunch of different Post-its and then like threw them all over the floor and then set the floor on fire, because it was like, it may as well not have happened. I don't know if I'm just used to the budget forms, if they just provide me a little bit more security and support, I'm not for sure, but like, it does not work for me to write that down on a piece of paper and then think I'm going to transfer it to the real physical budget form, but then and then also transfer it to every dollar. Didn't work. The other thing that didn't work was not checking in, and you guys are going to see that reflected in my numbers. And then the third thing that didn't work was setting too many intentions. And this is something I talked about in the budget video, but in terms of increasing my income, there was an intention to open up my company, and even my haste in opening up my company, that's not really what I wanted to do. I really wanted to build it up slowly, and like, I'm probably working about quarter time right now in my company between creating content for YouTube and, you know, writing copy and just preparing things for it to get back speaking again. I'm working about quarter time, but I wanted to bump that up just by another quarter. So then that way I would be working a part-time job and then part-time in my company. But it was like, suddenly I was just like, oh, I'm just gonna open. It's like, no, that's not what I wanted to do. So having that sort of intention, that was that intention, plus then having to shift into the intention of moving, then the intention of fully funding my emergency fund. It's like, those are 3 massive intentions, and I would not advise anyone to try to save an emergency fund, open up your company, and move all within the same month. And so the failures that are going to be reflected in my budget, I think that they are very warranted, because those are some massive intentions that shouldn't have, it was just one too many. So that definitely didn't work. What do I need to stop doing? I need to stop forgetting my why. I don't know if it was just with all of the emotions that came up with moving. I don't know if it was me being very enthusiastic and excited for me earning income through YouTube, and, you know, me having a few clients through my company. I don't know if I just got very excited about that. I don't know specifically what caused me to waver away from my why for 2018. And when I say my why, like, Stacey, why are you doing this? And a lot of that is clearly communicated in my 2018 financial goals. And I felt like this month I got a little bit away from it, because even when like I was at the point of like being physically not well enough to do the work at the level that I wanted to, I was really beating myself up a lot. But when I checked into my journal and I looked at my why, I'm like, you shouldn't be treating yourself like this, because you're right on target with everything that you said you wanted to do and why you were doing this. So you need to calm down. You need to give yourself a little bit more compassion, and you need to remember your why. So I need to stop forgetting my why. And I think that that's just going to be important in the new place, to just put it right in front of me, probably in my bathroom. What do I need to start doing? Recording, no matter what, I think is helpful. When I was just going through the difficulty of this month, going back to be able to watch some of my videos reminded me that impossible things are way more probable than what most people think. And I am in the business of making impossible things quite probable, and recording and documenting is that, like, magical motivation that just keeps me going. So even if I don't publish to you all, it's still just important for me to just record so that I can have that footage to be able to support me when things get really difficult. What is my intention for the month of May? To get comfortable. That's my intention. I need to get comfortable. That's it. Just to get comfortable. So what will support me in meeting this intention is just being very kind and very gentle with myself this month. And you guys will see that reflected likely in the vlogs and things like that. Just I need to give myself a little bit more kindness, a little bit more patience, a little bit more compassion, because comfort is the name of the game. And then last but certainly not least, why is this intention important? This intention is important because what I know for sure at this point in my financial journey is that finances for me are heavily tied to my emotional and physical security. And the more emotionally stable and the more physically stable or physically secure that I feel, the more I'm able to easily allow money to flow in and out of my life. When I am feeling insecure, unstable, overwhelmed, stressed emotionally, I stop the flow of money. And whether that's me stopping the flow of money because I become too sick to be able to earn, or I don't know. But I'm aware that I am stopping the flow of money. And so getting comfortable this month is important, because in order for me to have a successful remainder of the year, there's no point in rushing and pushing and hustling and grinding. And no, this month you're going to give yourself some grace. You're going to get comfortable. You're going to put some comfortable things around you. I just need to be comfortable, and I need to be comfortable emotionally, and I need to be comfortable physically, so that way the intentions that I have for 2018, I'm able to meet them, and I'm not trying to play catch up for the next 3 to 4 months. If I just take these 30 days to just say, you know what? This is your intention this month, is to get comfortable. It would be lovely to fully fund your emergency fund. It would be lovely to open up your business. It would be lovely to do all these wonderful things. But what you're going to do is you're going to get comfortable. So now let's go over my shoulder. You guys won't be able to see me. I'm just going to do a voiceover, but let's take a look at April's budget breakdown.
Okay, so here is my April 2018 budget. Bear with me. This breakdown will be a little different than previous breakdowns because this budget changed so much. And it's interesting, actually, as I was filling this out, I realized I was probably being a little bit harder on myself than what I needed to be. I just thought that I really was very reckless, but I guess I just wasn't as reckless as I thought that I was. I was still reckless, but just not as much as I thought that I was. I thought that this was going to be incredibly embarrassing to look at, but it's just mildly embarrassing. So anywho, let's take a look at initially, again, I'm working on making my numbers historically accurate. So this here is not a zero-based budget, or it's not a every dollar budget with the check mark. I just transferred exactly what numbers I shared in my budget with me live video into my plan categories. So now we're going to take a look at it. So I had planned $500 for my first paycheck from my part-time job, and I actually received $699.89, which is awesome, because I received $199.18 more than what I was planning for. My second paycheck, I planned to receive $500, and I received $682.61, which again is very awesome because it was an additional $182.61 over what I had planned. For Google AdSense, I anticipated receiving $200 after taxes and income, and I wound up receiving $264.23 after taxes, which again is awesome because that was an additional $64.23 that wasn't planned. My salary 1 and salary 2, this was income that I had planned from opening up my company. But as I mentioned prior to looking into the budget, I decided to not do that because it just became way too stressful with moving and sort of reorganizing things to even think about opening up full time, which is not something that I wanted to do. But even opening up, even doing more than the quarter time work I was doing was something that I just didn't want to do. So 500 planned, 0 received, 500 planned, 0 received. So what I planned was $2,200. What I received was $1,646.02. I'm going to change this here to spent instead of remaining so we can look at exactly what I spent versus what I planned. So for tithing, based on the income that I had planned, my tithing plan was $220. What I spent this month was $60 in tithing. And what you will see is this $60 is still less than 10% of what I earned. This is something that I'm not particularly proud of, but at the same time, while I would love to send the rest of my tithes, I am not going to. And I just wanted to be transparent and honest about that I sent 60, but I didn't send the other 100 that would be the equivalent of 10% here. My emergency fund, what I planned to do was put $450 in there. What was actually put into my emergency fund was $48.25. And this $48.25 actually came from a viewer who had been watching my YouTube, and her and her family, wanted to provide me with a gift to get my emergency fund going. And so they sent $50. And then after the PayPal fee, it was $48.25. So I put that directly into my emergency fund, and my emergency fund now sits at $98.25. So I am quite happy to have put additional funds in there, and I'm so grateful for the generosity of this family. I'm disappointed that I wasn't able to put more in there, but again, this is clearly reflected in that I didn't earn any business income, and so that contributes to why I wasn't able to put additional funding in there. But the emergency fund is going up slowly but surely. Moving down, we have rent for May. You guys know I typically break these up into my 2 different pay periods. 150 was planned, 0 was spent. 375 was planned, 0 was spent. And that is because while I have been planning to move and I have been looking for places, I did not anticipate moving in May. I anticipated moving June 1st. And so I made the plan to pay my rent for May because I anticipated being in the space that I have been in for the last 15 months. But that didn't happen. So nothing was spent there. That is reflected in the spent category. For my mobile phone, I planned $35.82. For some reason, it was $29.85 for this coming bill. I don't know why that was. I want to look into that and figure that out. I think it's because I signed up for auto draft. But I'm not 100. Maybe there was like a coupon or anniversary date or something. I don't know, but I was only charged $29.85. So it's kind of nice to have that little bit of, left over there. But my cell phone bill for the following month was paid. Then I have my grocery bill. My grocery budget is $50 a month. I spent $44.01. I did a grocery haul where I believe the total that I spent in that video was $28. As the month went on, I did get a few additional things, and that totaled to the $44.01. And if you look here to the side, you can see the breakdown. I went and got something for $305 and $358. And some additional money here. This should have been itemized here. I don't know why that says $37.38. But I can almost promise you that this $358 and $305 were snacks and not like actual food. I think it was like Twizzlers and chips and whatnot. The other category that I did not have a plan for, as you can see that it's 0, but I spent $71.86, is restaurant. And I use the term restaurant loosely because a lot of this is like Chipotle and snacks that are listed here, which I guess I could have gone under grocery. But I would say that anything that's under $5 is probably me going to a convenience store and buying snacks. And then anything that's over $5 is me actually picking up like Chipotle or some other restaurant, like something from a restaurant, like Burger King or like a Hershey pie or something like that. as reflected in here. And you guys can kind of see that as the days progress, I got a lot more aggressive with the days progressed towards me getting closer to moving. There was a lot more spending that occurred, but that amount is there. My transportation, I have a CTA pass. I plan to spend none on the CTA pass because I anticipated being able to walk to work. That did not work. Plus, I needed to go to therapy a little bit more this month just because it was very stressful. So I bought separate CTA passes, and I ended up buying 3 different passes, and then spending $250 on just to add money, to add value. So that total came up to $86.50, which is a little less than the $100 that I would have spent. But when you look over here at my Uber cost, because I did do Uber so that I could get to laundry and just quickly get to a few different places that I needed to quickly get to, that was $34.10. So overall, in my transportation, I'm well over budget of what I would normally have spent if I would have purchased just my regular $100 CTA pass. And I think a lot of that just has to do with the level of stress that I was experiencing. And, when you travel by public transportation, a lot of patience is required. And I had 0 patience this month because I was just not here for it. I was so overwhelmed. Health insurance, my premium is $102.31. So $102.31 was spent. Household pantry, I have $15. And I ended up not spending anything in my household pantry. So that's kind of nice. That goes back in the budget. My personal hygiene, I anticipated spending $60. I only spent the $29.74. And that's because I did not go and get clippers. And I really just didn't have the time or the interest in thinking about cutting my hair or doing anything associated with trying to look presentable. Apple iTunes for my son was spent at $10.69. I did not send my child support for the month of April of $75. I also did not give my son commission of $50. This is very disappointing. Being consistent with these 2 things is something that's very important to me. This is very disappointing that didn't get paid. And I think that this is probably why I felt like I was going to be so embarrassed about where things were in my budget. But again, when I look at it, it's just 3 categories that I would like to believe are very important to me. I did not spend money there, and that is my tithing, my child support, and my commission. It's just a disappointing thing. I want to be the type of person who's consistent with those things. But I learned and I realize now that when I am at the level of stress that I am at, these are categories that no longer become a priority. And I want to build in a system to safeguard against that in the future because life comes with stress. So there you go. My clothing budget was $15 and I spent $68 in this category. Again, not particularly happy with this, but I spent on things that were needed. And it just so happened that I was just like, man, I don't have things that I need. And some of those things included undergarments and stuff like that I'm not able to thrift because, I'm not going to wear used underwear, etc. Laundry, I planned to spend $15 and I spent $7 on laundry, which was very nice. That I'm a little under budget there. Pocket money, I gave myself $20 and I spent $20. Other unexpected costly expenses, my computer repair was $104.09. We thought nothing was wrong and it wound up being that the battery was broken. So it was $104.09. And then my keyboard was not working. So that was $35.05. So I bought the keyboard. And so that was just an unexpected expense of things that just needed to come out. It's really unfortunate that at the recording of this video, my computer is actually completely broken. And so the $104 that I spent last month is just totally wasted because I can't use my computer at all. And the $35, I tried to return the keyboard, but it was past a 2-week time when I could return it. And so again, that was just total waste of money there, which is unfortunate. I spent $16.10 at the Chicago Theater, which was unexpected and unplanned. I went to go see Iyanla Vanzant live. I'm very excited that I had the opportunity to see her. I wish I would have had a little bit of planning in there, but I didn't. But it was sort of one of those decisions that I just made to see her. And this was a cost for some snacks that were in the theater. I did not plan to spend any business expenses out of my personal account, but my business account, even though it was set up, the money that was in there, for whatever reason, my transactions weren't going through, and I didn't want these accounts to lapse so that way I would have an additional fee of like reactivating and just different things like that. So I went ahead and paid them out of my personal. So Libsyn is my podcast hosting. That was $4.42. Then Canva is graphic design stuff. That was $12.95. But moving forward, we should not see any business expenses reflected in my personal account anymore. Debt payments, I paid $50 to City Girl. Again, I planned to pay $25. And I think that because I ended up choosing to move in the middle of this month, I felt really guilty that I was moving and spending money to move to a new place, even though it was something I needed to do. But I was only paying the $25 on this debt. Like, it just did not sit right with me. So I just sent the $50. It was a very emotional decision. It doesn't drastically impact my budget, but for whatever reason, it gave me a sense of like, I don't want the person that I owe this money to feel like I don't care that I owe them. And, now I'm moving to this new fabulous place in Chicago. And it's like, no, I really do care. But moving came up and so I was just feeling really guilty. So I would say that additional $25 was spent directly out of guilt. But nevertheless, it was paid towards my debt. I noticed when I was looking at my account that my PayPal debt was not paid. And I think that has to do because I was paying that. It was set up on an automatic debit and I didn't have any funds in that account. So that would not be coming out in the month of April. So I'm going to have that reflected in my May budget because that payment didn't come out and it needed to come out. The moving savings that I had originally listed in my budget with me video was $516.49. And out of that moving savings, I spent $420.32. And I just want to open that up to show you guys what I purchased. So I purchased an air mattress and step stool for $87.37. So I would have something to sleep on because, as you know, my previous home was an Airbnb, so it was fully furnished. Then I made a partial rent payment of $300. And then I had purchased the flatware that you guys saw in the vlog, and the total for the flatware, everything that I had purchased that day, was $31. Flatware and glassware was $33.01. So that is my budget for the month of April. So I want to show you just this here really quickly. I had planned on earning $2,200. What I actually received was $1,646.02. What I spent of the $1,646.02 was $1,255. So the balance that's remaining between these two numbers, that money is just carried over. I'm just waiting for my current apartment to bill me the remaining balance that I owe for rent. That bill is not up and I have to pay my rent online. And when there's not anything due, you can't just go in there and just make a payment. So I'm waiting for them to let me know that that's due. But I do want to track that money that's sent out, but it will be reflected in my May budget because it's actually being debited from my account in May. But I just wanted to show you the $1,646.02, that $1,255 was spent of that money. And so there you have it. That is my April 2018 budget. Something that I like to do is give myself grades for just moving forward, and factors that impact my grade are income, whether or not I met my intentions for the month, how many budget categories I went over, or whether or not I was able to stick to my budget categories. And so those are the big factors. So for income, I am proud of the part-time income that I was able to get. It is unfortunate that I did not earn income from my business, from my company, but I am still very proud that my part-time income was significant, that it's sitting closer to, $1,400. And I think that is a very beautiful number for a part-time income. So that gives me a little bit of a boost. I did not meet my intention, which was to fully fund my emergency fund, which brings my grade down significantly. And as you guys can see reflected in the spent versus planned. So anywhere you see a red line, that's where I'm over budget. So I'm just going to go ahead and count those. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times that I'm over budget in my category. And so that brings my grade down significantly. So for this month, I'm going to give myself, and even though I'm not over budget in this category, I'm under budget. So that's actually 10. And then I have the disappointment with the not sending my child support, not sending my commission. That's a disappointment too. So that brings my grade down significantly. So for the month of April, I'm going to give myself a D, and I'm getting a D primarily because I didn't meet my intentions. I did not pay for things that I want to be a priority in my life. I was over budget on a ton of categories, and I know that is a harsh grade. And I want you guys to know that even though that grade is harsh, I do have compassion for myself. I am not beating myself up over here. I understand that moving is difficult and stressful, and that I need to give myself some grace and some compassion. And I promise that I'm giving myself that. But with respect to trying to objectively evaluate me moving forward and progressing with my finances, I want to be as truthful about what I'm doing and the grades that I'm earning, so that way I can do better, right? Like, I get better by telling myself the truth. And this month is very much a D financially. So I appreciate you all for watching. I cannot begin to express to you how much I am so grateful for you supporting my work. I love you guys so much, and you guys have no idea how much your support is showing up you guys showing up as accountability for me, and how much that supports me along this journey. And I'm just so grateful for you all. Thank you so much for giving me the space to be able to do this, and to be able to grow, and to be able to get better, and to be able to be one day debt free. So I look forward to talking to you all very, very soon. And thank you.